when we go into this conversation nowadays, when we think about, and I say nowadays as opposed to even 4 or 5 years ago, technology is huge, and technology in terms of applications, credit applications, really understanding who our tenant profile is when you're doing the homework and behind the scenes. There's been a lot of technology development in the property management world. I'm assuming RPM embraces that. Anything that you would shine a light on in terms of how technology's affected the property management space?
Yeah. So if we go back to when COVID first started, I would say our offices, we're all impacted. So to say we weren't impacted would not be right, but we felt the impact much less than a lot of companies because we were already using technology to do things like rent collection. We were already using technology to communicate. We already had tenant and owner portals, things that I think were shiny back then, and they're not anymore, because then COVID drove technology at light speed, and especially in industries like ours. So anyone could grab hold of some fairly reasonably cost technology and start implementing it. So then we upped our ante just a little bit more. And so we have a base program. It's one that's actually based out of the US, because our franchise is actually originated in the US over 35 years ago. So we take a lot of what they've learned over those 35 years and implemented it here in Canada. So we use a program called Appfolio. Most of your listeners, if they're here in Canada, won't even know what that is, but that's our base program that we use. And then we wrap something around it, which is another piece of technology called Lead Simple, which is it's our CRM, it's our sales process, it's all of our working workflows and all of the automation and pieces of communication that can be automated, and wrap that around Appfolio so that our offices can start to provide a consistent client experience. Now, just like when you go into a Tim Hortons down the street from you and then go to a Tim Hortons in another province, there's going to be some similarities and there's going to be some differences, right? And that's just natural because you're dealing with people, and the owners of those companies will bring a different flavor or a little bit of a different feel to it at times. But what the client, both from the tenant and the investor, should see from a month-to-month perspective should be very, very similar, and you should be able to count on that. So those are two pieces of what I would call our very base technology that we use in order to run our offices. But then with AI exploding now the way it is, we're now adding a couple pieces with AI. One in particular that I'm super excited about, and I think it's really going to change property management, is with maintenance. The biggest thing is, how do we save maintenance costs for our investors so that when a tenant lets us know that there is a problem with the sink, that we're just not rushing out and sending a plumber at $100 or $150 an hour to fix it, because you as an investor are not happy to get there to find out that it was just a washer that needed to be changed out. So now we're adding AI where it gives the tenant a little bit we're giving them more responsibility. We're making them really responsible people as well, and giving them some education. And the AI is going to help them give us the information we need, so that now we're sending technicians out when we need to, and we're incurring costs when we need to. Or maybe through AI, we could have just taught the tenant on how to fix the problem on their side. And it's really cool. I can't wait. That one I'm getting excited about because we're really close to launching it. But there's a few other pieces of technology, the rent collection, the credit checks. All of these pieces are standard in our offices, but now also having a bit of a flavor from AI. And the other one that we recently launched was a product that helps us do a risk analysis for our new to Canada comers that we're not able to check credit on. So now it actually helps us go out and help them as well be able to rent, because they can't rent in a lot of places unless they can give credit information. So we can do a risk profile on them, help them open up a bank account, all of these stumbling blocks that they're stumbling against when they come into Canada.
It's interesting, the AI. I just recently came across this and have done a little bit of research early on. Everybody's excited about Chat GDP, and it's really great, and it does some amazing things. I've played with it a lot. It is really quite remarkable what it does, but it's static. In other words, everything that's in there is already there. back to 2021, I believe, is the date timeline in that. But because you're US based, something to make a note of is Google just launched Bard AI, and that's actually interfaced with the internet. So the information is current. It's not available in Canada apparently yet. If you got a VPN, I think you can do a workaround. So I just started doing some research. Just a side note to pay attention. This whole AI thing, we don't know where it's going. I find it quite fascinating and frightening all at the same time, given where it can go. But we'll see what happens. And I recently had a guest on the podcast, Travis. His last name just slipped my mind. Travis Steffen. And anyways, he's an AI guy, and he actually went really dark for a moment. He's in the his technology, and he goes, yeah, he says the extreme of it is it could be the end of humankind. I went, oh, thanks for sharing that, Travis. He goes, that's the dark side, but he goes, there's a lot of stuff in between. So anyways,
Yeah.
that was an interesting podcast.